Hello DevOps friends, hello everyone, welcome to Full Stack Live. I'm Jochen from Opsative. Happy to have you all here. Exegete.io and Child Codes, two of my favorite Ruby people. Good to have you. How has your Tuesday been so far? I guess there hasn't been much Tuesday yet for you, but I hope you had a great start into the day. I can say happily that I had a great start as well. I did a multi-hour co-working stream this morning just to keep me accountable and focused, because I had to get up last night because of my on-call duty and couldn't fall asleep again for at least an hour or so, so I was lacking a little bit of sleep. And I thought I'd do a co-working stream, and so I did, had lovely chats, and also got something down and done. Exit writes, early start for Tuesday at 4 a.m. That's really, really early. But so far it's great. Early start, and Kato has a long day at school / climbing camp. Oh, that sounds amazing. That sounds exciting. Yeah, once you're awake, I mean, the incident I had to manage wasn't too bad, but once your brain's awake, it's really hard falling back asleep. Despite all the meditation practice and things like that, if the cogs start turning again, then yeah, you're done for. But I have to say, I don't feel too tired yet. I chose to follow the Dr. Huberman routine of delaying coffee a little bit and instead having an ice-cold shower and doing some breathing exercises to get my body in gear. And so far, it's been working out for me. Not sure how the lunch that I had will impact my overall condition, but I'll do my very best to explore OpenSearch. Hey Praxeus, welcome to the stack. Good to have you. How's life? Well, it's only delaying caffeine for 1 or 2 hours in the morning after getting up, because then that's not his word, but then it hits just more than if you already take in caffeine right when you get up. Because I think there are some enzymes and stuff that get left over from sleeping that actually dampen the effect that caffeine has on you. So giving your body the opportunity to first get rid of these leftovers, then your coffee will have even more impact. Except, I guess, what he writes is, except if you start with exercise right away, then I guess early caffeine is impactful as well. M7AMD6669, is there a way to pronounce your name otherwise? Welcome to the stack, happy to have you here, and thanks for following. Yeah, a double-natted life, or at least a double-natted Proxmox server just isn't fun, Praxeus. I can relate. Frackborg dropping in as well. Hello, how are you? Good morning. I'm not sure if I can help you with your PC question, but let's give it a try. Yeah, Rachel, I think that would be possible, but mlamd is also not too easy to pronounce. I did see that, Frackberg. I dropped in for a short time, but since I had to run, I didn't drop into chat, but I saw your efforts climbing up that virtual mountain, and you did a great job. I was a little bit concerned seeing that you had a 160 BPM. That's far above my zone 2, in which I try to stay in, but hey, I'm pretty sure you know what you're doing. All right, so what I'm going to do today is some infrastructure stuff. One of our customers asked us if we could provide them with Elasticsearch as a search engine for their websites or for a service they'd like to run. I'm not sure. And Elasticsearch changed their license in 2021, and that pretty much keeps us from using it as a hosting service. I think I don't want to get into hot water with that, so that's why I'm going to look at OpenSearch, which was, of course, the obvious response to this license change by Elastic. Exegete says OpenSearch plus Search Kick is good stuff. Good to know. I'm excited to try it out. And yeah, I'd like to simply follow the documentation, set up a OpenSearch cluster just to play around with their dashboard, which in combination is basically the replacement for Elasticsearch plus Kibana. And then I guess I'll maybe try to add some FluentD to the mix to ingest logs and see how I can get searchable logs in place. I'm not. Before you state your problem, M7, I can't tell you if I can help or not. So go right away and ask. Maybe if I can't answer your question, maybe someone in chat can. We can always try. In what ways did Elastic change their license? They basically did the same as HashiCorp did recently. They changed their license to, was it the business software license, I think? And that prevents service providers from offering a service that the original vendor already offers. So since Elasticsearch offers paid search instances, we as a hosting company can't do the same. The license prevents us from doing so, at least without having an enterprise SLA with Elastic themselves. But I don't think that would be economical for us. So the alternative is, of course, using a fork that doesn't have this license change, and that fork is named OpenSearch. When you start your game, it says that you need DirectX 11. Yeah, I guess that's quite common. That's as far as my knowledge goes, though, because DirectX, of course, is a Windows thing. And I don't really run any Windows machines, and also don't do any gaming on them. Everything I have running here is based on Linux, even the stuff that I'm using for gaming. And so I'm afraid with DirectX issues, I won't be able to help you. But maybe someone in chat can. Yeah, but if it says you need DirectX, that's where I would look. And maybe it's simply a matter of reinstalling your graphics drivers or reinstalling the game, because DirectX is pretty much a hard requirement. Here you go. There's a support article from Microsoft themselves. Thank you, Exegete. Okay, so let's get into OpenSearch. I already read through the initial quick setup guide here in the morning during my co-working stream, and so far that's pretty straightforward. And I'll simply follow this guide and see what we can do. So there are a few prerequisites before we can actually launch OpenSearch as a bunch of Docker containers. And that requires us to do some memory management. So let's go right ahead. I do have a terminal open on my second workspace, but if I have to type from this documentation, I'd rather do that in a terminal on the same screen. So let's do exactly that. So I'll do a sudo swap of -a. Yeah, I guess swap isn't really helpful once we do start a service that relies on RAM to be performant. If your machine hasn't enough resources to serve this service, then having a swap doesn't really help either. And then we'll make a change to our kernel parameters in syscontrol.conf. I guess we could actually let's exit that. There should be a syscontrol.conf.d, right? So let's do that, and let's make it a little bit more obvious by creating our own separate configuration file, maxmapcount.conf. So the main syscontrol.conf file is more or less managed by the package manager and the operating system, and making changes there is not how things are usually done nowadays. So creating a separate configuration file in syscontrol.conf.d is the way to go. So let's do exactly that. We'll only have to set a single parameter here, the max map count setting, and that's 262.144, which is more or less 256 kilobytes, right? And now I have made an error. I think I started the editor without sudo, and now I can't write this file. But there is a way to go around this. So it's time for some Vim magic by telling Vim to not write to a file but to a command. I can actually write this buffer to the t command, which takes its input from standard in and writes its output to the screen, in which I'm not interested, but it writes also to a file that I can actually let's do it step by step, that I can name here. And the file name that I'll use is simply the %, which is the name of the current file that I have open in this buffer. And by prefixing this with the sudo that I was missing earlier, I can actually write this out to my file. And it said no such file or directory. Why is that the case? T should actually create this file, shouldn't it? I can always do a -a. Not sure if -a will actually help it. Well, there's some underlying problem that I need to find out first. And I did actually use sudo. Did I just invent this directory and it doesn't actually exist? Oh, it's syscontrol.d, not .conf.d. I did invent the directory, okay. So we can actually fix this by using the correct directory name, and then we'll even be able to write this out. So again, VM max map count equals 262.144. Let's write this out, and then by running a syscontrol -p, syscontrol will read in the current configuration files and apply the change that I just made. And I think we can even use syscontrol to verify that the change had been made by simply writing syscontrol and the variable. So let's try that. Syscontrol VM max map count. And it hasn't changed. Okay, good thing I verified. Let's see, does -p actually read in everything? We might have to use a file name here, so let's do exactly that. Instead of just running syscontrol -p, we'll run -p etc syscontrol.d max map count. And here it says max map count is now 262.144. Let's verify again. And yes, now we've made the necessary change. Okay. Now it asks, the quick guide here asks me to download the Docker Compose file that they're using for this example project. So let's do that. I'll create a directory. Where do I put this? Projects. I guess let's put it here. And we'll create a directory called OpenSearch. Muscle memory tries to write open source. Okay, and now let's use the car command to download the Docker Compose file. Nice. Do we even have Docker already installed? Okay, that looks promising, but how about Docker Compose? That's here as well. Brilliant. So now, next step is actually to launch our services, Docker Compose up -d. And then we should see that there are 2 OpenSearch nodes and 1 OpenSearch dashboard container with port forwarding already in place. So that does actually look quite straightforward. But let's take a look first at the Docker Compose file, shall we? So let's open the Docker Compose file here, just to see what we can expect here. So the services that we are going to start, aka the containers that we are going to launch, is first OpenSearch -node 1. And we download the Docker image for OpenSearch here. The container will be named OpenSearch -node 1, which it would be by default anyway, since that's the service name. We set a few environment variables, mostly Java properties that OpenSearch uses. For example, the node name that identifies this service node within an OpenSearch cluster. And then there is also a bit of configuration for the cluster setup, because spawning 2 nodes doesn't yet make a cluster, because these nodes need, of course, to know of each other. Otherwise, they will not connect and they will not form a cluster. They will just be 2 separate instances in space. So we have the setting for the seed hosts here, which contains the names of both nodes that we are going to start, OpenSearch Node 1 and OpenSearch Node 2. And the initial cluster manager nodes are the same list of nodes, so they will automatically find each other. These are host names, and Docker Compose will use the service names as host names automatically, which means we will have a node with the host name OpenSearch Node 1 and another one with the name OpenSearch Node 2. And then there are a few settings, especially for the Java VM, to use a specific amount of memory. And the Docker ulimits here then get set in an advantageous way. We need a data volume where OpenSearch can store its index so it doesn't get lost if we kill the container and restart it again from fresh. The index data should be persisted as a volume. And here we have the 2 ports that get automatically forwarded here. That's 9200 for the REST API and 9600 for the performance analyzer. And we have our own network here called OpenSearch Net. OpenSearch Node 2 is pretty much identical. Why wouldn't it be? They are equal peers within the same cluster. The only difference is that, of course, OpenSearch Node 2 has its own volume, OpenSearch Data 2. And then there is the container for the OpenSearch dashboards, which in the original software was called Kibana, where we can actually access our stored data and slice and dice everything to our heart's content. And its port 5601 gets exported as well and exposed, so we can actually access that on our own host. And that's pretty much it. So it's quite straightforward, which makes me quite optimistic that I'll be able to use this in production as well. Of course, the memory allocation needs to be different, but this should be pretty straightforward. But before I start this, since I'm going to use multiple terminals, it's always a good idea to use tmux. And with my tat command, I can automatically create a tmux session, which gets the name of the directory I'm in. So down here, you can see that this tmux session gets named OpenSearch automatically because that's the directory I'm in, and I get automatically 2 new shells as well. I guess I'll use shell window number 2 here to start my service. So let's do a Docker Compose up. We don't even need the -d because we can simply keep it running in this window without impacting other terminals. And of course, since we are starting this for the first time, the OpenSearch container image and the OpenSearch dashboards container image needs to be downloaded first. Thankfully, it's less than a gigabyte, so this should be pretty quick. By the way, folks, if you have any questions or if there's anything that you'd like to share, pop into chat. Let's make this interactive. I can hold a monologue for 2 hours, but I don't have to. Nice. Proxmox cluster for the win. How do you manage your networking? Is that mainly a manual process where you write configuration files and stuff, or set them in the Proxmox UI? Or do you use something more sophisticated for routing definitions and things like that? Lots of stuff happening and I have no idea what it is. Exegete writes, we recently did a big push to OpenSearch. It was surprisingly smooth. Brilliant. Yeah, that's good to know. That makes me optimistic. To be honest, I did look into OpenSearch a year ago or so. And I'm not sure if it was the state of the documentation. Maybe it was just too new. Well, it was right after they forked the project, I think. And I couldn't make heads or tails out of it. And that really turned me off. And so I thought, well, maybe OpenSearch isn't an alternative either. But from what I see so far, it looks pretty straightforward. We'll see how easy it's going to be to feed logs into OpenSearch and analyze them with the dashboard. Tracksaves writes, sorry, I was head down moving servers around and fixing some Etsy network interfaces files. That also answers my question, how you're doing stuff. Yeah, I would take the same manual approach first, I guess. I don't see myself having any very sophisticated setups that I can't do on my Unify Dream Machine, which is my home router and the center of my network. Maybe I'll dabble with VLANs at some point, but I guess that's more or less the upper level of sophistication that I'm going to reach. And yes, it makes sense to have a isolated VM and admin network. Nice. Okay, our containers are actually running. Now let's see if we can test. What we are supposed to do is a curl with credentials, so I'll copy that. And I'll go to shell number 1 to issue this command. Simply access the dashboard with the admin combination, and yes, here we are. We have a cluster. Let's see if it actually works. I mean, what should keep us from actually accessing this in the browser? Let's do exactly that. Localhost, what was it? 9200? Okay, maybe let's take another look. Yep, 9200, and then admin. How does this not work? Localhost 9200 should give Oh, do you think it tries accessing via HTTPS by default, which will not work, of course, yeah. No, connection reset. Any log entries? Yeah, there is a SSL not SSL record exception, so something is trying to talk SSL even though it is no SSL. Oh, 9200 is SSL actually. Okay. So in this case, I was too pessimistic. Yes, we are using self-signed certificates apparently. That's not a problem in this case. And now I can log in using admin. And here we go. But that's the API. And so I get JSON back instead of a website. Let's take another look at our configuration file. The Yeah, 9200 is the REST API that gets exported by OpenSearch Node 1. OpenSearch Node 2 does not expose any ports to our host. Yeah, not strictly necessary, I guess. What we want to use is 5601, which is the actual dashboard. Maybe I'm speeding ahead a little bit too quickly, but now I'm simply curious. And I already don't remember the port number. 5601. Now we can't get a secure connection. Maybe we can get an unsecure one? Yes, we can. Without even having to log in? Oh no, okay. I guess it's admin again. Where's my mouse? Exegete wrote, I want to get into HomeLab type stuff, but I fight myself enough for what to learn. I don't need to add DevOps on top. Yeah, I guess that's sensible. If your list is long enough as it is, why add additional stuff? If it isn't fun that you can add to the mix. Because as Praxeus writes, it can be very rewarding and fun. Upgrades, reconfiguring things, generally playing with it are what opens some of the pain points here. What would you want to be learning into your HomeLab? But as a dev, should I be building with Ruby on Rails, building with Dino, or building with Terraform? Yeah, lots of options and stuff. I guess you need to narrow things down a little bit and not try to do everything at the same time all at once. So, yeah, let's add some data. What's the difference? I can simply use the global tenant. Nope, that didn't work. Let's use the sample flight data. Oh, we could have used the sample weblog though. Maybe I'll throw away the... Oh, I can't do both. I'll take it. Hopefully it won't make things too complex. Okay, let's go back home. Logs, web traffic. Do I press create here? How about an observability dashboard? That sounds good. No saved visualizations. That's a pity. Okay. Well, there is already an observability dashboard, I guess. Nope. No results. Okay. Now we have a few queries and visualizations. And since I'm running a hosting company, that would be a visualization that I would be interested in. Give me all the sample data logs where the response is either 503 or 404. And I guess 404 is more or less the customer's problem, but 503 is most of the time something that has to do with the hosting infrastructure. And so here I can see these are all 503. And apparently it's even aggregated here. So I have 12 log entries of this form for the /enterprise URL. The start page had 4 occurrences. Well, that's really nice. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm after personally. Our customer probably has a different use case, but of course, if I set OpenSearch up for a customer, I'll use it myself too. Okay, that was easy. So we had this, I see, there would be, we could also have gone this route here where we download a JSON file and import it. Balthazar, hello, welcome to the stack. Good to have you. How are things? Today we are playing with OpenSearch. Okay, that's all nice and good, but I think I'd like to leave the hand-holding by this tutorial. So, maybe... Oh, Balthazar, Balthazar, Balthazar. I am so sorry. I really did not mean to draw you into this. Welcome to the world of keyboards. Yeah, I mean, who am I to tell you that a proper keyboard isn't something you should pursue? XGG, do you have a gold customer status at CSA? I guess, I mean, I can... I can send you my model. Oh no, that's a keyboard I/O. I don't have a CSA keyboard actually. I thought about getting one in the past, but yeah. I actually went with a keyboard I/O. I have a Model 01 that I got from a colleague, and I also have I had an Atreus that I gave to said colleague. Well, we are missionaries, of course we are. I mean, why do I have a battalion of keyboards in the shelf behind me on stream if I don't want to evangelize getting custom keyboards? Yeah, I guess if you're going with one of the buttons that you listed, so the Moonlander, or if you like, if you'd like to try low profile, the Voyager as well, are very solid keyboards that give you all the options. It doesn't have to be a minimal keyboard like I have here. Simply getting a split keyboard in the first place will actually improve your ergonomics and will help you fend off RSI and other issues. And Praxeus is, of course, perfectly right again. The Model M is definitely the second best keyboard there is. Of course, only surpassed by the new Model F. Because not only are these buckling spring keyboards great, they have great sound and great feel, tactile feedback, but you can also use them as offensive weapons. I don't think I would go with the Ergodox. The Ergodox is pretty much outdated by now. Both in terms of technology and in terms of layout. The staggered column layout of the Moonlander is actually better. If you take a closer look at my keyboard, you can see that that it's ortholinear, of course, but the different columns are staggered relative to each other, just to account for the different lengths of our fingers. And so that's definitely something that the purely grid-based Ergodox doesn't have. The tenting mounts are actually also quite interesting, because if we're talking about ergonomics, being able to place your hands shoulder width apart is a great first step, but being able to also rotate your wrists in a more natural position, which, for example, these new ergonomic vertical mouses do accommodate. Applying the same principle to your keyboard does make sense too. So that it's definitely worth a try. I did try it with my Korn here, but the tenting legs that I got with the case aren't as stable as I would like them to be. And so I actually took them off because the whole contraption got too wobbly. But for example, with the Lulu keyboard that I have, the Lulu... wait, let me see myself here. The Lulu here does have some nice tenting legs as well, which are very stable. And yeah, I do enjoy using them. I had to get longer screws because the original ones that came with the case were too short, and they kept simply popping out of their sockets. But I simply got myself screws that were a millimeter longer or something off Amazon, and that solved the problem. So tenting is definitely another improvement that you can go for. Braxeus, now you've made me question if I should use the Model F for the rest of the stream. You could definitely hear me typing a lot better. Okay, now we've set up OpenSearch. Provide insight and distraction. Isn't everyone here? Isn't everyone? Let's see. Is there an easy way to purge everything? Ideally, I would like to get rid of the whole example data and import my own. Okay, so it did actually create a whole section observability here. No metrics though. Notebooks. Whew, so you can do data analysis here. That's going to be interesting with our logs. So our hosting infrastructure processes about a few million requests per day. So pumping these logs into OpenSearch and being able to run data analysis on them using these notebooks and stuff like that, that's going to be exciting. But let's see. These are the dashboards. Let's go home. I mean, dashboards might mean that I don't have any access to admin functions like drop indexes and things like that. But yeah, I'm mistaken. There is index management. So if I go into indices, there is a bunch of them, and the problem is I'm not sure which one I can actually delete and which ones I can't. I guess these here, OpenSearch, dashboards, sample data logs, and sample data flights. These indexes I can actually get rid of. Security audit log, all these are in the kilobyte region, so I guess they are more internal things. I can delete these. I need to type delete. So that did clean this up. We don't have any indices anymore. And I guess with that, the dashboards are gone too. Looks like it. Alerting will also be interesting. Being able to actually alert if the amount of, say, 503 errors in the logs surpasses a certain threshold. That's going to be valuable as well, even if it means even more lost hours of sleep. It'll increase quality for our customers. Let's go into the management overview, snapshot management. Let's go into dashboards management. It looks like dashboards are actually somehow connected to indices. Nope. There are patterns in there. Create and manage the index patterns that help you retrieve your data from OpenSearch. Okay. If I go into here, here I can also drop this. This is all pretty straightforward. Even I understand these things. But it's alright, I haven't touched OpenSearch myself. Usually slap Greylog in places because it's comfy and easy to manage. Yeah, it makes sense. But doesn't Greylog also have Elasticsearch in the backend? Which would mean we wouldn't be able to use Greylog as well. We could use it for internal purposes, I guess, but we couldn't offer search as a service to our hosting customers for the same license reasons as with Elasticsearch directly. I don't expect that to be... Oh, yeah. I shouldn't talk too early. I was just about to say I don't expect there to be many saved objects, but apparently there are lots of saved objects. Let's get rid of the flight and logs stuff. I mean, I could also set the whole cluster up from scratch. But... yeah, maybe I should do that, because that's a lot of stuff. That'll take just too much time. Yeah, the main reason why I'm dabbling with OpenSearch is because I was asked by a customer if he could provide them with a Elasticsearch instance. And I told them, no, we won't, because of license reasons, but I look into OpenSearch and see what we can do there. And so far, OpenSearch looks pretty much like the avenue that we're going to go down. Maybe I should simply switch all of them on and simply try and exclude the stuff that I don't want to have. No, I'll break stuff and get strange responses back. You know what? We'll go ahead and drop the whole cluster, and then we'll start it from scratch. So I'll go here and stop the Docker Compose. Greylog is migrating to OpenSearch. Yeah, that probably was to be expected. Okay, here we are, and I guess we have a few volumes left over. Let's do Docker Compose volume list. There is no volume command. Well, then let's go with Docker volume list, right? So there's the OpenSearch volumes. I guess we should be able to say Docker volume delete. OpenSearch dash data 1. It's RM. Why isn't there an alias? Volume is in use, but there's not the container running anymore. But I guess it's all exited. What do I do to get rid of all that? Is this do we do DC kill, huh? And if I try to delete the volume now, no, it's still in use by this container. So let's do Docker rm ecd5. Oh, now that's gone. Let's do the same for data 2. Docker rm o2 bf. Docker volume list. Yep, the rest is from a different project. So if I do another DC up here, we should get a newly provisioned OpenSearch cluster. Oh yes, of course. Greylog has their own hosted service as well. And yes, that's exactly what the Elasticsearch license change was intended to prevent. Because that directly competes with Elastic's offering. Okay, so I guess our cluster is up again. Let's go back to the dashboard, but let's go to the homepage. There we go. I'd like to explore on my own this time. No sample data, thank you. And okay. Question is, how do we set up stuff ourselves now? I guess I should look into FluentD, because that's what I'm going to go with. I guess the most common solution to pump log files into a search index would be FileBeat, but FileBeat is under the same license as the rest of Elastic's stuff, so I rather use FluentD. Interestingly enough, there is no mention of Elasticsearch, let alone OpenSearch. Interesting. So we could install FluentD as an RP. What am I working on? Yeah, that's a Fedora workstation, so RPM should work. But oh, my trackball is taking a nap. Why isn't there any mention of OpenSearch? I do remember setting up FluentD with Elasticsearch in the past. Interesting. And I guess we should do it as a container deployment too, because, yeah, why not? Docker Compose. Here we have actually mention of Elasticsearch. Okay. Let's take a look at their Docker Compose setup. They have a web server with HTTPD as the image, which is, I think, the one of the Apache core images. Excuse me. And it's linked to the FluentD container. It also uses the FluentD driver with FluentD at localhost 24.224. Here's the FluentD sidecar container that does expose the 24.224 port, both on TCP and UDP. Yeah, if you're dealing with log data, UDP is definitely helpful. And then we have the Elasticsearch and Kibana services or containers, which we don't have to set up again because they are already built into our current setup. So I guess we'll simply add web and FluentD to our current setup. I don't think I'll set up my own FluentD image, except if I have to. Well, they say step 1 is actually... Okay, it seems to be required to use our own fluent.conf file with port 24224. Fair enough. And we'll match everything and store that in Elasticsearch. I'll have to change that into OpenSearch, I guess. Well, type is still Elasticsearch. Host is going to be OpenSearch node 1. There's no load balancing or something in front of our Elasticsearch cluster, though. That's something that I'll have to research first. Yeah, we'll talk to it on port 9200 or 9200. Log/format, log/prefix, etc., etc. All right. And only then we can actually run Docker Compose up. How does this work in terms of image? Oh, that's why Fluent has a build in a statement here, so it'll build the container itself instead of downloading it directly from somewhere. Okay, fair enough. And we'll have to have a fluentd/conf locally that it'll add as a volume. That's where we are going to store our Docker file and our fluentd configuration. Nice. Then we'll start the whole setup again, and I guess we'll do a bit of web traffic. And then we should already be able to see these logs in the dashboard. Oh, I love how straightforward that is. It's one of the things where you ask yourself, why haven't I done that earlier? I did dabble with Elasticsearch and fluentd, I think with our first Kubernetes cluster, which then fell into disrepair and disinterest. And that's where this project basically vanished. So it's good to pick it up again. Okie dokie. I think I already copied the Docker Compose changes. Let's go and apply them. So I think I'd like to add them down here. Oh, that's the curl command. That's not what I wanted to copy. So let's try this again. Let's copy the web and the fluentd definition. What's the matter? And let's copy that. Let's go here. Paste it in. Why doesn't it work? That is strange. Don't suppose. For some reason, this doesn't work. Let's try accessing the system register directly, but that doesn't work either. Oh, very strange. That's an issue I didn't have before. Let's try and copy that again. It's not in the... Maybe... I have no idea what's happening here. Maybe it's Tmux that has some kind of an issue. Maybe... Oh, I think I know what's happening. Yeah, it's Tmux. This is a newly set up VM that I only have been using for a short time, and I think I'm missing a Tmux plugin here, and that's preventing me from accessing the system clipboard. So let me think. What did I have to do? It's leader capital I. And here we go. Now Tmux is installing these plugins. I assume I'll have to leave Tmux though, which is a pity. I need to stop OpenSearch as well. But hey, I'd have to restart it again anyway with the added web server and FluentD setup. If you've joined us recently, I'm exploring OpenSearch because one of our hosting customers asked if they could get Elasticsearch, and for license reasons we won't be able to run Elasticsearch for them as a hosted service, which is exactly why Elasticsearch changed their license in 2021. But of course, other providers like Amazon quickly went and forked the project into OpenSearch, which I'm now exploring. And since OpenSearch also offers a use case that we can use internally for our hosting platform, for example, processing logs in a central location and analyzing them thoroughly using dashboards and other stuff, that's exactly the use case that I'm exploring right now, where I can actually add a web server and send all the logs directly into OpenSearch and then analyze the logs. That's what I'm doing right now, but first I'll have to get Tmux under control here. Wait. I wanted to use the tat command, which gives me a full session. And now I also have my usual power line at the bottom that looks much better than before. So I was probably simply missing these plugins. Let's see if that solved the issue. Let's copy this again. Otherwise I'd type it in. Losing my patience here. Doesn't work. Let's try Western paste. Nope, it's still the same strange content here. If I use the asterisk register, it's the same thing. But what we can do is not use Tmux to actually paste stuff in and edit the same file without Tmux in play. We should be able to do that. Let's do nvim. Yep, throat running dry. Let's wait until I'd finished coughing. Otherwise, pouring water in there wouldn't be a good idea. If I have a preferred way to send dummy data to systems like this for testing, I'd probably simply take a log from our production infrastructure and import it. because that's valid data that we can actually use and see if it gets consumed in the right way. So I guess we are here, right? Okay, and in here we have the Docker Compose file. And now I'm back in... Am I back in Tmux? No, I don't think so. So let's try and insert this here. How is this not working? What am I missing here? I'm running in a VM where there's not much stuff that's getting in the way. But still... Copy and paste doesn't work. Is it the same on a terminal? Okay, so the paste command didn't come from Vestrum, it did actually come from Neovim, I guess. But I should have the same keyboard commands, so Control-Shift-V should actually insert. But it doesn't. Something is not quite right here. Let's make sure we are using our current dot files. Let's try nvim again. I'm running out of ideas why this wouldn't work. Things like this that cost you a lot of time. I always hate when that happens. I can't paste that stuff at all. Let me see how I set this up. Here's my default configuration. I don't set any keyboard shortcuts, so I'll have to assume that Control-Shift-V is paste from clipboard by default. That reminds me, I should actually be using the Western version with the big font size for your advantage. But still, that's it. Okay. Let's exit Tmux once more. And actually, let's also create Western here. And let's start the one with the bigger font. That's easier for you to read. No, tiling doesn't work anymore. Okay. Now, let me quickly check. I need this all the time, so I need to fix this. Sorry for the distraction, but... once you have a working machine that has been working for months and months, you forget how things work. So I do have to refresh my memory how things work in here. Key binding, default key assignments. So Control-Shift-C and Control-Shift-V are actually copy to and paste from keyboard. Okay. Same goes for Super C and V. That apparently does the same thing. Okay, let's see. If I simply mark this and I'll do a Command Control C and I do Command Control V, that works. Okay. If I go into this Docker Compose file and I copy this stuff and I go back into Vestterm and do Shift Control V, it doesn't work. It doesn't. A Firefox issue. Does Firefox for some reason not allow me to copy this stuff? If I press this copy button, what does happen? If I go in here and do paste, that works. So it's the copying from the web browser that doesn't work. My terminal was okay all this time. But for some reason I can't copy parts of the source code. That sucks. Okay, let's get back in shape. I'll always open my .files session by habit. I am actually trying to press Control-Shift-C or V for that matter. Oh, you mean if in the browser? No, I actually even tried it with the context menu by selecting copy, and so not even that did work. It's really weird. Maybe this website has something specific in there. I have no idea. I'm pretty much used to that working. But still, okay, let's do another tat. I guess tats OpenSearch should work. Yep. Because of my CD path. Thanks Exegete for that. This comes in handy so many times. So, okay, let's go into our Docker Compose file, and I guess I'll go to the bottom and paste in things here, and then we'll simply take what we need or delete what we don't need. So we can get rid of the Elasticsearch and Kibana part here, which does leave this part, which we then can pretty much insert here. Having a line separating things is actually not a bad idea, but let's keep it consistent and not... Oops, where did I go? So that's the web container, which links in the FluentD sidecar, which works with FluentD build. So let's save this, and that means we also need the Docker file for FluentD. That's in the FluentD subdirectory. I guess I'll go ahead and use the copy button from your note. So we'll need a Fluent subdirectory where we'll create a Docker file. Where I can paste in this part. Not sure if v1.12 is exactly the latest version, but no matter. It does do a gem install. Interesting. Okay, that's a Ruby plugin by all appearance. Okay, and now we'll need the fluent.conf. That's in the same directory, but this directory should be named fluentd. Okay, let's copy this. So let's rename this to fluentd actually. And we need a fluentd.conf here, right? Fluent.conf. This is not consistent in any way. Whatever. Okay. Let's see. Dockerfile doesn't do much. It doesn't include the configuration file either. Oh, that gets mounted in as a volume. Okay. So we'll build in fluentd. We'll include... Oh, we need a conf subdirectory. And then we'll need to move fluentd fluent.conf into fluentd. Wait, what? Conf. We need a conf subdirectory. Did I just create a conf subdirectory? Fluentd conf. And fluent.conf to fluentd conf. Now things look like they're supposed to. The container will then use fluentd conf and move that to /fluentd etc. With links to Elasticsearch. No, we link to OpenSearch -node 1 because that's the one that does actually expose its API port 9200. Okay. I guess we can try and docker compose up. So simply dc up. I have an alias set up for that. Legacy builder is deprecated. Okay, good to know. I'll have to check if all these versions are up to date or not. Even if they're outdated, they should still work. Balthazar, have a great day. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you'll have a great rest of your day. The gem install did take some time. Here comes the web server. That did not look good with the fluentd container. Lots of OpenSearch stuff. So let's go back and look at the fluentd. Permission denied to /fluentd etc fluent.conf. Access denied. Web server did start up, I guess. fluentd didn't. Why would that be the case? It is looking for /fluentd/etsy/fluent.conf. We should still be able to start another shell session here and do an, let's see, DCPS, DC exec-it, I guess, fluentd bash. No? Why doesn't it work? Maybe these containers are so lightweight that they don't actually have a bash that I can use interactively. No, that wasn't what I was supposed to do. Yeah, there was an error. Yeah, maybe a shell. Yeah. Thanks for that, Praxeus. Nope, not even that does work. Which is really strange. I didn't do it interactively though. Wait. Nope. How very strange. Let's try and make sense of things ourselves. So down here we have the fluentd container that gets built from the fluentd Docker file. We use fluentd/conf, which contains the fluent.conf file, and mount it in /fluentd etsy. So fluentd etsy fluent.conf should actually work, but that is exactly what doesn't work. You're perfectly right, Praxeus. For production use, you don't want to have these things built in, even just for efficiency's sake, to not lug around images of some humongous size. Because if you run these at scale, things add up quite quickly. But still, I need to have some way to get into this container to debug it. So I'm actually interested in Fluent. Can I simply run an ls? Anything. Not getting even an error message makes me think I'm doing something wrong without realizing it. So let's go back here. Okay, it tries to initialize using /fluentd/etc/fluent.conf. It doesn't say file not found, it says access denied. Maybe that's something that has changed. You mean, I doubt that, actually. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to run Docker commands in the first place. But I wonder if it's because the file doesn't belong to root. I would assume that fluentd gets run as root inside the container, and maybe the mapping doesn't quite work out here. But still, mounting this inside the container should take care of things. How very strange. Fluentd conf fluent.conf. That's what I have here, right? Fluentd conf fluent.conf, yes. And that's actually a file, right? So let's try cat fluentd conf fluent.conf. Yes, that's a file and it does have content. The fluentd container doesn't actually run. It's exited. That's why I can't run anything. So I need to actually do a Docker Compose run. And Fluent. It'll still get started with the right volume mapping, I'm pretty sure. What did I do wrong? Docker Compose run. Don't I have to do an IT? I guess I don't. No such. Okay, so it's fluentd, I assume. All right, so let's take a look at fluentd. There's the stuff. Etsy. Ah, and starting from Etsy, we have a permission denied, so the mount actually doesn't work. Does this even show up here? Yes, it does. We mount VDA3 on /fluentd Etsy. The other stuff that's inside the container does work, I guess. So log, for example. Yes, that works, but Etsy doesn't. And why is that? /fluentd. I can't type. Yeah, the delay between the screen and my preview here is a little bit disorienting. Yeah, that's what I thought. It has user ID 1000, which is my original user ID, and not the user ID of Fluent. I wonder if I can fix that from in here. Sudo change on fluent.fluent. Fluentd Etsy. Oh, come on. I'm the user Fluent, and that doesn't have sudo rights. There isn't even sudo in there, I guess. Yeah, it makes sense not having fluentd run as root in here, but that does mean that we have a problem. Let's find out what it should look like. 999. Is there any talk of that here? We switch to user root, run the gem install, and then we switch back to user fluent. Okay. I guess this documentation is a little bit outdated and doesn't take into account recent changes to Docker and Docker Compose. I wouldn't mind importing that stuff into the container, even though it would mean that I have to rebuild the container if I make configuration changes, but that's basically the same in production anyway. So let's go and try that. Instead of mounting it as a volume, we'll simply copy it in. That means we'll remove this volume here and we'll copy the conf directory into /fluentd/etc. As part of the Docker file that we'll do as user fluent, I guess. We'll copy... Is this relative to the Docker file? Let's find out. Fluent d/conf to /fluent d/etc. Let's do DC build. File not found in build context. I guess we'll just use conf then. That did work, and now we should actually have the correct setup. So let's start anew. Okay. It still says fluent conf, no access. How hard can this be? So let's take another look. That does look better. Fluent.conf is still owned by root. Okay. Or is actually owned by root. Did I put this in the wrong? No, I didn't. Wait, what? Why do I have to be this explicit? Change on fluent dot fluent /fluent d/etc. -r. operation not permitted. We can do it as root though, if we are already doing this stuff here. Let's try and start it again. Come on. Can't be serious. Hey Rachel, welcome back. I'm struggling with Docker shenanigans instead of exploring the stuff that I wanted to find out. It's a Docker issue, but I have this nagging feeling that I'm missing something important, and maybe it's because my nightly uptime is catching up with me, and I simply don't see the forest for the trees. Because this, and yes, I know, famous last words, this should work. I'm simply copying the conf directory into /fluentd-etc, and to make sure I don't have any access permission problems, I'll do a change own on these files so it belongs to the Fluent user. And I have built this image. You mean distract myself from the problem at hand and get and provoke a shower moment where I get this ping short sidebar on vintage computing? Guess yeah, we should do that. So I have a confession to make. Let me make sure that I can see what's happening here. So yeah, folks, I'm anti-vax because the deck PDP-11 behind me should have always been perfectly sufficient. Who would need a VAX if they have a PDP-11 and have a perfectly fine 16-bit machine and with a great instruction set in the CPU and huge backing in all kinds of industries? So yeah, I really don't know why digital equipment ever came up with the VAX and replaced the PDP-11, which is really, really sad. So the VAX I'm referring to is actually the DEC VAX. Let me show you what I'm talking about. DEC VAX 11/780. This was the next generation that digital equipment built after the huge success of the PDP-11. The PDP-11 was a 16-bit machine, and the VAX was the first 32-bit super mini computer. I guess, well, of course, it made sense to have this new generation, which pretty much was also, I guess, almost the height of the Unix success. Running Unix on VAX was quite common, even though the original VMS operating system was, of course, quite as common as well. But Unix, which had started its life on the PDP-11, was quickly ported to the VAX as well. And as you can see, there's also the VAX-11, which still connected back to its ancestor system. And yeah, it was very, very successful and ran many an early online service as well, For example, many of the early online services like CompuServe and other services did use systems like these. Virtualization was initially a mainframe idea. It was quite early that people came up with the idea of basically segregating parts of a machine and having many virtual machines in there. I recall that IBM also had that in their early machines, and of course they went all in with that technology on their Z-series machines. The Z-series mainframes were, of course, completely built for virtualization. Okay. Now, maybe I am confusing myself by not running the actual latest image. Is that possible? Because if I do DC run, what did we build? Well, I'm using Docker Compose run, so fluentd should actually run this pretty much. Let's see, fluentd, we need the -l here. There is something that I'm stumbling over. So everything is owned by the Fluent user. But if I do a DC start Fluent D, it breaks with permission denied, which can't really be. So let's stop everything here. Maybe the issue I'm running into has to do with Docker Compose. I was told in one of my classes that mainframe containerization was designed just to sandbox individual programs and I/O operations for more efficient processor usage. I guess that depends on which operating system and system architecture we're talking about. I guess getting some kind of sandboxing and isolation of stuff in early was pretty much, I guess, something that we got in the 70s with early bigger machines, maybe even at the end of the 60s. I'm not familiar with every vintage system that there was, but more and more it actually got into complete isolation and running stuff separately from each other. I mean, IBM actually sold many of their Z900 systems as Linux virtualization machines, where you could run dozens of Linux virtual machines on the mainframe, controlled by a reliable operating system, the ZOS operating system. And with the whole I/O power that a Z900 system could deliver, which was very powerful in its days. I guess it depends on the mainframe that we're talking about. If how far they went in compartmentalizing things. But I could imagine that there was always this issue that machines got too powerful for their actual use case, except if you're talking about high-performance computing, of course. But if you look at operating in a business environment where you have lots of, say, accountants connected to a mainframe, they don't tax the system too much. Except maybe with batch processing processes, but here you could actually win a lot by compartmentalizing the resources and distributing them between as many people as possible, because each individual accountant wouldn't have taken a lot of system resources. So the idea of how do we split this up and how do we make this available to as many people as possible at the same time, I guess drove virtualization from the early days. Okay, now we even had a timeout, so something is really not right in the state of Denmark. Yeah, it looks like Docker itself is completely botched. Can't even do a Docker PS here. How very strange. Let's try Docker PS here. Okay, Docker kill 8942. Ew, we can't kill the HTTP container. That is really strange. Maybe because it's linked with the fluentd container, which didn't even start correctly. Whoa, okay. What does this machine do? DC logs. No, what am I typing? DC logs. What is it? HTTPD. Was that service? Yeah, that's because DCPS doesn't even work, huh? No, it's web. Okay. Not much of a log, huh? I'm not sure if I'm even inclined to deal with that. Oh, sorry. Thanks, Rachel. Never notice when I switch and don't switch back. I think I'm going to try and restart Docker or even the whole machine. That's makes me annoyed. Yeah. Just not inclined. I'll deal with that enough time. Computer. Computer. And that was when Fullstack Live threw everything out of the window and became a landscape gardener. Are you effing kidding me? Now GNOME doesn't... No, I'm stupid. I'm already on the desktop. There is no login. Okay, yeah, I think the night is catching up with me. I'm so sorry. I didn't even notice there was a panel. I have auto login set enabled, so I don't even need to have a login window. Why? That did actually work. Nice. So let's do... Okay, Docker PS. Empty. Of course it is. Again, let's stick to old habits and start my dot files session first, and then we'll do the OpenSearch. Okay. Now we'll switch here and do a DC build, which should run straight through because it's already built. And then we'll do a DC up. So there's still an issue with Fluentd. It still can't load such file. Nope, no, we are talking about something different. Parsing config file is succeeded, Fluentd, etc, fluentconf, that did work. But now it can't load Elasticsearch, transport connection selector, Ruby 2.6, that's ages old. I guess we need to switch to a more recent container image. Can't expect this to work anymore. We are basing our stuff on very old stuff, so let's shut this down again, just to have a clean stop. Let's see if it's able to stop Web 1 as well. Still fighting. Web 1 seems to be something that also does not really want to work. Yeah, we need to find out if we... Codes says, landscaping requires hauling large rocks in the sun. Awful in a new way. Yeah, but wouldn't that be a sun workstation? Yeah, this web container seems to cause issues as well, so... let's try and modernize this whole thing. So, I guess the fluentconf we might be able to keep, except if they have actually changed the syntax, but... So, I guess we need to find out what the current Fluentd container image is. Is Fluentd even current? Or is this... I didn't even question if this is still maintained and stuff. I think it is. But now I guess I start to have to question everything. Let's see. Overview. Blah, 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 blah. I don't really care about all that stuff. Let's reject cookies here. Don't need them. What are these how-to guides? That's more advanced stuff, I would assume. Update from v1. Support should at least give us a link to the GitHub or something? No? Well, there's a community forum on GitHub, so I would assume there's also code on the GitHub, right? Let's see. Okay, last change 3 weeks ago. That is definitely reaffirming my trust. 1.16.2. Is there a way to see which Docker images are actually available? That's probably on Docker Hub, I guess. But we can try 1.16.2. Let's see. Fluent the Docker image. So there is 1.16.0 or simply 1.16 Debian 1. Debian 1 should be generic enough, I guess. Okay, let's go ahead and try that. 1.16 Debian 1. And then we need to find out the Elasticsearch plugin 503 might be outdated as well. So that's Ruby gems, Fluent D Elastic search. .530. Still version 5. Okay. Let's give this a try. Still couldn't stop the Web 1 server. So that's something that I don't trust either. If a web server container can't be stopped, not sure if it's because of the link with the Fluentd container, but that's really strange. Maybe I should try and switch to a different web server as well. I have no trust in this HTTPD container. And now I don't get video from my coding screen anymore. Everything seems to be against me at the moment. Yay. Yeah, this is really annoying. My coding screen doesn't update anymore in OBS. Let me see if I can fix it. Might actually be the video source. What do I do? Give me a second. I think I'll switch off my video switcher here. Simply reset it. I seem to be back, but video signal still isn't there. Okay, let me pull that cable. All these things might cause OBS to crash. Okay, that seemed to have done the trick. And we didn't even go offline. Okay. Now, let me get properly set up again. Now, DC build. Still don't know how to deal with the broken web server. Okay, that went quite nicely. DCPS. That's still frozen. So Docker PS does show me that this HTTP container is still running. Is there a way to be a little bit more convincing? That is thoroughly broken, so we might have to do another reboot. But before I do that, I'll also check if there is any option of doing things differently. Let me see. This HTTP image has a logging driver fluentd where I can actually assign an address for the fluentd container. So that seems to be built into the HTTPD container, actually. So I'd like to learn a little bit more about this HTTPD container. Container image, especially in terms of fluentd. So it is at Apache, as I assumed. The version, I guess I'm using the latest version, I would assume. Okay. Where to get help? Server fault and Stack Overflow. Interesting. So I guess it's based on Debian. If I don't explicitly use the Alpine version. I'm simply surprised that I can simply use the fluentd logging out of the box. That's already built in. How is that the case? That seems so unusual. Maybe it's an official Docker image, quick reference. HTTPD, remote, local, again, I'm missing something here. Logging, that's Docker Compose, isn't it? That's it. Oh, of course. Yeah, I was on the wrong track there. That's Docker Compose. And its logging driver for fluentd, because the Apache server simply logs to the Docker log. It logs to standard out. So I am telling Docker Compose here to send its own logs with its fluentd driver to localhost 24.224 and tag these log entries with httpd.access, because that's the access log information. Okay, yep. Now I have the full picture. And I guess because fluentd isn't quite running, the Docker Compose itself now has issues sending logs into the void. And that's what's blocking it as well. Maybe we can mitigate that by spinning up the fluentd container again. So let me see if that's possible. DC start fluentd, but fluentd doesn't start up itself, so port 24224 doesn't really answer either. Coco Sterner, welcome to the stack. Hello to YouTube. Well, it's my humble home office in which I've been working for 10 years now. It's small, but it's mine. But thank you. Thank you for the compliment. I do like it. So, yeah, this is of course a problem. Fingers crossed, Praxeus. Fingers crossed that you'll get to your cluster in no time now. Yeah, it's this setup that is a little bit brittle here. If I can't get fluentd to work, the HTTPD container doesn't really work either, because I guess Docker Compose runs into logging issues, especially since the web server probably works fine and will simply generate a few lines of log entries, and then Docker Compose can't take them and put them into fluentd because I can't get fluentd to work. So the issue that I actually have is that I'm actually logging to fluentd already, so I guess we'll simply disable this until we get fluentd to work. And now we'll need to find out how we can actually kill this process if it does not really respond. Wait, what? After carriage return specs? What do you mean? Are you talking about the keys? Something like big enter? Well, new line carriage return line break. Yeah, but after 3 machines you'll run out of material, won't you? Because there's only ASCII 13 and ASCII 10, and then both of them. But yeah, if you only have 3 nodes, that's perfect. Oh dear. I feel that I'm running out of steam here, which is no wonder after many hours of streaming and not having the greatest of nights before. So I guess I'll leave things here for the time being, and I'll probably pick this up again tomorrow morning. Simply to get a little bit of rest and